Welcome back to the second series of the day where we will have the Arctic Storm play versus Roligan. And Roligan, they just won their first game of the day versus Papa. No, they just lost.
They lost.
They lost, sorry. They just lost the first game of the day versus Papa's Kapsek with 2-0. So they are looking for a rematch versus the Finnish Arctic Storm. With me in the studio to break this down, I have Henning Eklund.
Yes, indeed. Coming after a quick 2-0 where Factor Evolution was able to handedly defeat Riddle Esports, mostly off the back of Lighter's great performances in mid lane. We are starting to see, like before the game, we had 3 tiers. We had the 3 top teams, 2 teams in the middle, and the 3 bottom teams. What we've been seeing so far is that Roligan has been knocked out of the top teams, and that Riddle has been having their spot in the bottom cemented even further, with Factor Evolution going up to the middle tier teams as well. So the standings are becoming very interesting, and we'll see even more after this second round with Arctic Storm against Roligan.
Yeah, and also I love this part of the tournament because these teams, of course, they are learning and adapting as teams. Right now, as we speak, they're still practicing, they're still learning, but also playing against each other. So at first, sure, this is definitely going to be all about which teams has the best players, which have the best synergy, which have the best coaches. But as the tournament progresses over these coming weeks, we're also going to see like these very close matchups really being determined about which teams can adapt to their opponents. And right now, I mean, these teams are facing each other off for the first time, and this is really where we can see which teams shines when it comes to that individual talent.
Absolutely, and we are seeing the first, I think it's the first time we're seeing a Finnish team
yeah, it is.
up against the Danish one. And from what I know, these scenes do not have a lot of interaction with each other. So I don't think these players know each other too well. And if they do, it's going to be mostly coming from solo queue. So that is going to be interesting because, of course, when you saw the 2 Norwegian teams play earlier, they know each other extremely well. They have their own national league in Nordic, and they have been, like, the metagame becomes so interesting when they know the favorite champions and the playstyle of the other teams, the strengths and the weaknesses, compared to this series where the teams don't really know each other that well at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can't expect these 2 teams to have any idea about each other. Maybe, of course, they played against each other on the ladder. Maybe they know each other from like other tournaments and something like that. But this is the first time we see like such a completely Finnish team. I honestly can say that I don't know too much about the Finnish League of Legends scene. I don't think they have, like Norway, you know, their own tournaments, or like Denmark own tournaments. It's similar to Sweden, except, of course, without the talent.
Sweden without the talent. That is Finland in a nutshell. No, it's not. I like
No, I did not mean that.
101 years right now. 100 years last year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, and of course, we love you, Sweden.
Means, I think.
All right, so let's
go to the
focus
game.
on the game and the pick and bans that we just arrived into. It is the first ban, Galio, for Arctic Storm, and Roligan Esport have opted to go with the Skarner ban.
Interesting to see Galio on the ban list. It's not something that we've been seeing prioritized a lot so far in this tournament, but in other tournaments in the competitive scene, Galio has been a very strong pick. Consistent wave clear from the mid lane, great roaming potential, so much map control coming off that mid lane pick. Taken off the table here. Caitlyn is still going to be the pick that I mentioned as a big one early on.
Especially when it comes to Croxy.
Yeah, for sure. Croxy had some great games on the Caitlyn, and his dual lane together with Kidden was the big key to getting the wins yesterday. Also going to be, if not the Caitlyn, we're going to be taking a look at the junglers with Skarner and Sejuani off the table. Junglers like Zac and Kha'Zix becomes very high priority. I've got to say that I really like Kha'Zix as a champion right now. You kind of have to run a top lane tank with him, but that's something you kind of want to do anyway. So I'd love to see either of these teams go for an early Kha'Zix pick together with a good tank top like a Sion or a Cho'Gath.
Yeah, also a lot of focus now with both Tristana and Caitlyn off the table on Croxy. And Croxy, I feel, like wasn't the big key player for the team yesterday, but Alec was the player we were talking about. Of course, there can be something about opting not to ban against Alec because he seems to have quite a deep champion pool.
Absolutely. He did have a bit of a weird game on the Vladimir.
Yeah, it's true. That is very true.
But other than that, he had a couple of really good games in Cassio and some really good games in Orianna as well. I'd love to see them go for an early Cassio pick here. It's not something that is easily like hard countered early on. So, I mean, just first rotating Cassio would not be a bad choice at all. Also like the Cossacks, and you can always pick up a strong top lane tank like a Scion or a Cho'Gath. So that's something I'd like to see from Roligan as well.
Yeah, first pick now for Arctic Storm is Warus for MB down bottom lane. And Warus we have seen a lot. He's the tank shredder. Can really handle that, of course. His big problem is struggling against these deep, heavy initiators. Speaking about Zac, speaking about Sejuani, of course, she's off the table. Talking about all of these champions come up in your face, and that's where Warus struggles. Also, Cassiopeia, you just mentioned her, and there she is.
Yeah, a strong Alec champion, not surprised at all to see that coming in pretty early on. The Saya coming in, this is interesting. Saya and Rakan both being open, perhaps the strongest duo lane in League of Legends. Getting that as the red side pick here, I think is very intelligent as well to pick Saya here and not go... Just pick Saya here, you don't have to pick Saya and Rakan, because Rakan on his own without the Saya is a weak support at the moment, especially together with the Varus. That would be a very weird lane. So you're pretty much forced to pick the Rakan in the next rotation, but you're still very happy with this. You've got a strong mid laner that will for sure do well in the laning phase, and you're gonna have a strong bottom lane with kill pressure as well. So Roligan, I like the draft so far.
Also, Arctic Storm now opting for Zac in the jungle, hovering the mid lane picks, and now maybe going with the Gnar instead for the top lane. So not going to show their mid lane just yet. And as you just said, of course, Rakan is almost forced right now for Roligan Esport as a pick. Otherwise, it's going to get banned instead. And of course, you don't have to really worry about Arctic Storm picking him up. Instead, maybe now Roligan Esport going a little bit curveball right now and might opt to go for the Janna instead.
If they lock in this Janna, it's because of the Zac pick. Janna is very good to counter out the Zac. Early on, you can easily force away the interrupt the Zac jump with your Q as well as your ultimate. So Janna, a good pick to disengage the Zac right there, as well as the Gnar. You kind of want some disengage with that as well. What I not as big of a fan though as blind picking the Janna. They did this yesterday as well, Roligan did, and they did not get punished because Riddle picked up the Cillian support to go into that matchup, which did not work out at all for them.
Which I think is a weird champion to pick versus Janna just to begin with, because of Janna's extra mobility as well, just in the passive and with the shields. It's such a hard champion to play versus that.
Yeah, I totally agree. We talked about it yesterday as well. Not a strong pick into the Janna, but right now there is the potential for Eri to go for some sort of a counter pick here. He could choose to go safe and go for a Braum, which I don't think would be a bad choice at all. But I would be really excited to see him go for something like an Alistar, a Thresh, perhaps even a Blitzcrank. All of these are champions that can abuse a Janna early on, especially since you have so much good pressure coming in from the jungler early on as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they will go for in the bottom lane right now. No priority at all towards the bottom. Instead, the Corki and the Orianna ban for Roligan Esport. And from Arctic Storm, it's the Scion for the top lane they're worried about.
Yeah, it looks like they want to ban out Nihil's right now. If I'm Arctic Storm right now, I'm definitely looking to get some more follow-up engage for this team comp. If you've got a Zac jumping in to start a fight, I'd love to see something like an Alistar to go with that. And if you got those two locking up, the enemy team with the Gnar coming into ulti as well, and then you just need two big damage dealers. So I'd love to see an Alistar coming in from Arctic Storm, perhaps together with something like a Taliyah to be able to snowball the bottom lane even further, and then you'd have some great bottom lane tower dives and some great bottom lane pressure.
Absolutely. I really do like the Braum pick though too, for Arctic Storm going to the bottom lane, as you can start off with the Corrupting Chains with Wars and then followed up immediately with Glacial Fissure and then the Concussive Blows, but it is the Thresh they are hovering right now, and Thresh was the pick that you wanted Riddle to go with yesterday, or not yesterday, but just last game day.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday versus Roligan Esport, and now we might be seeing it. Also with the top lane, it's the Shogun, and just as I was getting excited with the Thresh, it is the Braum instead.
Resident Sleeper indeed. Nah.
Yeah, not going to be both Braum and Blitzcrank. Like for a second, I was a little bit excited, and I was like, are they going to go with it? Blitzcrank, is this going to be some sort of weird troll pick, or maybe like a pocket pick I didn't know about? But no, it's not going to be, and I was getting excited for absolutely nothing.
I think the Braum is just a balanced choice right here. If you would have gone for something like a Thresh and Ulster, you would have a bit of an early game comp where you're forced to keep tower diving and play aggressive and try to really force advantage early. Going with the Braum Victor, you instead have a very solid team fight early on. And I must say I like the team comp from Arctic Storm since they've got some pretty strong laners, or at least safe laners, with a lot of team fighting prowess later on, with so much AoE coming down, 2 big damage dealers, 2 big frontliners as well. And there it is the Jarvan for Tronan to finish up the comp for Roligan.
Yeah, I really enjoy Arctic Storm's team comp right here. And versus the Janna, of course, we talked about it. Janna is really strong against that deep initiation. But since they have sort of an all-around, of course Gnar and Zac can go all the way in if they catch you off guard. But they can also kind of just stay back and peel a lot, just zoning, versus the kind of short range actually Roligan Esport has. Of course, Roligan Esport now with the Jarvan. I love the jungler. He has the opportunity to deal a lot of damage in the early stage, then go complete tank, of course, with the Cinder Hulk. And just completely being that huge, annoying tank that can always find a way to initiate on your backline.
Jarvan is the very versatile champion. We talked about the Braum as well, having the same sort of strengths. And this is why these champions are so strong in the current competitive scene. It's because when you pick some champions, you know, like when we saw the Fiora last year, you know exactly what the team comp has to do. You have to pick around the Fiora, you have to play around the Fiora by so much. And on the other side of the spectrum, there is Jarvan and Braum. They can be part of almost any team comp. They can fulfill almost any role. They're so versatile, and that's why they've been in the competitive meta for such a long time and will continue to be so.
Yeah, absolutely. These almost sort of jack of all trades. Love to see these champions. I love also to see these teams play them as we are right now moving out on the Rift with series number 2 for the day. It's Arctic Storm versus Roligan Esport. And Roligan Esport, they have a lot to prove. Yesterday, they had the game versus Riddle where they won in the end, but it still went to a 2-1 series. Today versus Arctic Storm, we're going to see if they're going to be still another 2-1 or if it's going to be even more an upset where Arctic Storm is the winner.
Yeah, I'd agree that I'd give the slight advantage, just looking at the players, to Roligan. The Finnish scene is not something that they've not been showing off too much so far when it comes to that the competitive play, but we'll see if Arctic Storm can change that up. I'm gonna say again that I do like their team comp. They definitely have a good team fighting comp for the mid game when you're hitting 2 to 3 items on your Varus and your Victor. That's going to be big damage coming out, and they're going to be pretty much untouched in the backline because you have both a primary engage from Zac and then the follow-up engage from Braum and Gnar. So a well-rounded team comp. But will they be able to get there? Because there are some strong laners on the side of Roligan.
And I mean, we talk a lot about the team comps and such, but so far in this tournament, something we have seen a lot is that there are strong players who know how to play their champions. But a lot of these where they struggle is that they don't really know how to play their team comps. And this is something that we're really gonna have to look out for, because if you don't know how to play your team comp, even if you are a great solo player, you're going to have a hard time getting the wins up against a team who knows exactly how to play against you. So these teams right now will really have to step up and prove that they have what it takes. Level 2 gank in mid lane. Victor very mobile, has the flash of course. Will take us a little bit of poke from Alec. It's forcing him down towards bottom lane, towards the safety of his jungler. And Tronan is still going for it. He's going to find Elmu here on the Raptors, is going to steal just one of them and take a little bit of damage as well on Elmu. And Zac, not the strongest duelist in the early stages of the game, will be forced to recall, so a well-executed invade by Tronan.
Not sure if that's worth it. Still doesn't get anything mid lane and goes straight from red to get a couple of those small jungle camps and jungle creatures. They're gonna go to the blue buff, so Tronan behind in the jungle right now, although he did force the recall onto Elmu, so not as bad of a situation as I thought in the first place.
No, not sure either if Elmu really needed to recall there. I think he might have actually been overreacting just a little bit. Recalling, might have been able to just use Smite to get the extra HP and go immediately to his blue buff. Not sure actually.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure on that either. Let's talk a bit about the team comp for Roligan though, because we know what Arctic Monkeys wants to do. What can Roligan do against that? Well, they do have some good disengaged champions. I talked about the Janna being able to knock the sack out, deny the primary engage from Arctic Monk. No, sorry. What was their name again?
Arctic Storm.
Arctic
Storm.
Okay, I gotta get it.
No, it's great. It's great.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
So Janna can deny the primary engage from Arctic Storm. They also have the Xayah that can get away from that. And then good disengage from both the Cho'Gath and the Cassiopeia. So when Arctic Storm will try to go...
No, you got it. It's good.
We'll look for the
You're getting
engages.
there.
Roligan definitely have the tools to deny the engages from that with all the disengages that they've got. So it's going to be a very interesting game to see the team fights coming later on if like the disengaged Roligan can deny the engage of Arctic.
Yeah, and also like jumping straight face first into a Cassiopeia is also always quite scary. We're gonna watch the itemization for these players as well. Not on bottom lane, the lane of the Xayah and Janna having a good time in these at these early levels. Braum has to struggle just a little bit, has the minion dematerializers to help. We'll hold on to them for the late game to be able to force away those pesky banner minions if needed.
Yeah, I always think it's, oh, not always, but pretty much I always think it's a great choice to get minion dematerializer at least one member of your team.
Oh, Croxy being forced to flash immediately. Has to watch out for Elmo. There comes a great follow-up again as Keaton has to use heal on himself, has used the shield on himself. Now Ignite on Elmo. Would not have died immediately from that, of course, with a passive, but heal will be used just to make sure that there will be no kills down bottom lane right now.
Not sure if heal was necessary there to save him. Oh, fight here though.
Oh, big fight up top lane. A very close one, but first blood. Oh, minions! Not today. Not enough damage. And the 1 versus 1 fight up top lane goes to Carvox with the 5 HP difference.
I'm so intrigued by Gnar right now because it was changed on the last patch. Bit of a less cooldown refund if you catch the Q again. A bit more damage on the E, but most importantly, a change to the frozen mallet.
Oh, Carvox now. Flash was used and the pickup kill with the teleport. Huge disrespect to stay there, and also not using Flash immediately when he found himself out of position means that he gives up his life and the advantage he had.
Yeah, Flash not used for Carvox right there. I definitely think it was a conscious choice, like, okay, I'm gonna give some gold over to my lane opponent, but I'll still have Flash for the next fight. Could just have been a mistake as well, though. Tronen looking for something mid, but Mercy's playing very conservative. I was talking about the Gnar, though. As I said, Frozen Mallet had quite a heavy nerf for the Gnar, so that is not that viable of an item to go on him anymore, which means I'm very interested to see what it's going to go for. It looks like it's going to be the Black Cleaver first, and I suspect it's going to be Black Cleaver into pretty much tanky going from there. But I think if you're able to get a slight snowball, getting another damage item or two on the Gnar is not a bad idea at all, and could definitely be something that you can use to put pressure on Cho'Gath in the 1 versus 1 situation. So let's keep an eye out for the items that Carvox go for.
That's definitely going to be interesting, as Gnar is such a versatile champion. And a very interesting one. Ever since his release, he is one of the few champions that both have that annoying poke with the long range and the huge jump in with the CC ult, but of course you have to time that perfectly. Now it's Alec down bottom lane, moving towards this bot lane of Arctic Storm, and it's Eru who's out of position, nowhere to run, cannot even use his flash to get out of that, and that is the pickup for Roligan. So their bottom lane is starting to roll right now with almost 20 CS lead between the marksmen, and also now that extra kill, Alec with a great roam.
Starting to roll indeed, and an intelligent roam from Alec. He still has ulti and summoners to go for Elmo if he wants to.
Alec wants to go on Mercy now instead, and Mercy, he gets stunned, but at the same time Tronen is almost dead with the ultimate, gets out. But that was very close as Mercy not scared at all to try to turn around a bad situation into something good.
Great roam there from Kidden, saving his jungler with a clutch shield coming in at the last second. So good choice for him right there to go and try to save his teammates in towards the mid lane, and this is starting to look like a Roligan advantage, actually quite far ahead in gold this early on.
Roligan's bottom lane especially now is forcing Arctic Storm to focus a lot of their attention towards them. At the same time, it's so hard to capture the Janna, but especially with the roam from Alec. And also I have to question Imbi and Eero to be that far up in their lane when they don't have vision of the enemy mid laner. A little bit of a miscommunication there, probably not knowing where Alec went, but they really need to look out for him. Alec was one of the key players in 2 out of 3 games from day one, and you really need to watch out for that kind of snowballing player. He got the 2 assists now. Sure, it's not the extra kills, but he will spike so heavy on the 2 items that he is going to be an absolute menace to deal with.
Well, 6th level fire there for Tronen, but yeah, as you said with the mid laners, I think Alec is on the way to make a great snowball happen, not least because Mersa is playing Victor, who really wants that 1250 gold before his first recall to pick up the first upgrade on his Hex Core. He was killed before he could get that amount of gold, so was forced to recall for last chapter and tier, and is right now sitting at about 450 gold, which means he's 800 away from the first upgrade of the Hex Core, which is what you really need on the Victor just to wave clear in mid lane. And this change, where the first Hex Core went from 1000 gold to 1250, was the reason that Victor stopped being played in the competitive meta.
Well, speaking about Victor, he has to watch out for the Cataclysm. Of course, he has his flash, so he will be able to get out. This time also didn't even need to use it, but this is so much pressure from Tronen. Mercer really need to be careful. He cannot allow Roligan to snowball on him.
Not at all. Really just wants that first Hex Core upgrade and then you sit under his tower mid lane. Stay safe, wave clearing, because when that Victor gets to 3, like 2.5, 3 items, he's going to be such a menace in the team fight, and he's just going to get stronger from there on. Maybe the most powerful mid laner on 6 items.
And the question is if Mercer can get to that position versus all of this pressure, and that is what Roligan are trying to force. Down bottom lane, though, this is a terrible situation now. Almost a solo kill, but the flash will not be enough. The Ignite almost picking it up. Is it enough to kill him? I don't think so. And a very, very dangerous position as Croxy almost picks up Imbi by himself. Imbi still under that turret. Tronen not wanting to go all the way for it. Instead, they're gonna put a lot of DPS on this turret.
And that's why you pick up the Braum right there. So many ways of saving his AD carry. We're gonna be seeing a fight here, perhaps.
Maybe it was looking like almost being a double knock-up with the elastic slingshot, but not really wanting to go all blind into it. Bottom turret dangerously low on HP right now as Roligan is taking control of the map, and now walking back into that completely blind. A dangerous decision that might turn out to be a devastating one, but a fantastic play with the Braum shield will keep his jungler alive, will be able to save most of them, but Alec turns back with the double kill. Now instead chasing away Merza, chasing away the Eru down bottom lane. Turret goes down as well as Roligan is starting to roll away.
What a play from Roligan. That was not only really well executed in terms of the mechanical play from Alec, that was also really smart to go for that engage at that point, because we've been talking about the Hex Core upgrade for Mersa. He just wants to sit and hug his tower, CS, and recall for that upgrade. So what do to force him out of the tower? You go for the invade on the red buff, force the Victor to come out, use the advantage you have in the mid lane. So Roligan not only playing well mechanically, also making the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Arctic did not really expect that kind of damage coming out so far. Alec now with the Abyssal Mask will start finishing his Archangel staff, and that's the point where Cassiopeia becomes absolutely brutal. That's going to be a huge power spike for him.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can see a 25 CS advantage for Croxy right now, and this is the lane that has carried Roligan to victory earlier on. 1.7k gold lead as well in the AD carry position. And since they are so ahead on the roam up top lane, this is going to be almost the entire tower going down. I also think that was actually solo gold on the first tower going over to Proxy, so that's 650 gold going to the pocket of him. The bottom lane is going to... I mean, Alec has been really strong, but he's not carrying by himself. It's Kidden and Croxy that are putting a lot of pressure on the map as well.
Yeah, Kidden and Croxy definitely doing their job, being that nuisance of a bot lane that keeps pushing turrets everywhere, keeps forcing you to react as a team, and open up the map for the rest. So definitely, I mean, Alex is doing a lot of damage. He's getting the job done, but he would not be able to do it without the rest of his team. That is for sure. Tronen starting off a little bit of a sneaky Rift Herald. Gets spotted, but there's not really much that Arctic Storm can do to stop this.
There is the TP advantage for Kairox, so Nihois was forced to TP back to the lane earlier, not standing up to the ranged harassment of the Gnar. So if Arctic Storm can force a fight on the top side of the map with a Mega Gnar TPing in, that could be an amazing opportunity for them, because they have so much engage coming in with like Sack, Rom, Gnar. So if they're able to force that kind of a fight and shut down either Croxy or Alec early on, that is their ticket back into this game. There is a big advantage for Roligan, but it's definitely not over for Arctic Storm. Yeah,
this is definitely a salvageable game for them. Still losing the bot turret early, and now almost losing top turret. Is definitely a hard position. You can see Elmus almost forced to stay up top lane just to keep the turret alive. Hiding out in the bushes, but great ward placement by Roligan has spotted him out, and I do not think that Croxy and Keaton will fall for this.
Yeah, Tron is just staying around top lane because he realizes what the game plan is from Arctic Storm. Get the Gnar TP in, force a fight with the Sack engage on the top side of the map. Here we might be going for this. Jan is there to disengage though.
Yeah, this is the bait, I think. The reaction is there. Featherstorm used, but not quite on perfect timing. Croxy gets away, but the bait kind of fails as Elmu not really worried too much about it either. I'm not quite sure about the shot calling there from Roligan, but here they go again, going through, passing away from the Unbreakable, but Tronen almost hit by the concussive blows. Teleport coming in, forcing them to recall. A great Rupture will stop the teleport, although I think actually that Kerwix already cancelled it on his own before the Rupture hit him. Not sure though, I think looking at the cooldown, yeah,
he did.
Yeah, he did.
Cancelled it manually, but recalling in a bit of a sloppy spot. Could have been a big engage there with heal and monster being down, and nom, says Nihois.
That was some perfect pronunciation. Keaton picking up the kill up top lane, just as Carwax went down bottom lane as well. Being destroyed almost as badly as Henning is destroying the Norwegian language.
Not sure if that's Norwegian. It looks like Dutch almost, but it's playing for a Danish team, so...
No, it's true, I guess it's...
I am not sure.
No, the Danish language, obviously. I was too stuck on the earlier Norwegian games. But of course, that kind of ruined my little burn on you back at me, I guess. I guess that's karma for me.
That's karma for you. I'm unburnable.
It's true, it's true. You're just too cool to be burned, right?
For sure. Thank you, Sang.
You're welcome, you're welcome. I think you deserved it after my failure earlier.
Maybe that is the case. I like playing very far up right now on this Cassiopeia, but he does have the Abyssal Mask, which has become really a big meta item in the mid lane. We even saw Leader go for that on the Victor in day one, which didn't really pay off too well, but it's a standard item on the Cassio. We've been seeing it on the Galio, which is a very key reason for him coming back. We saw it on the Kassadin earlier as well from Leader, I think. And it gives so much sustain early on in the lane phase, combined with good defensive stats and even a damage increase on top of that. So on these mages that really wants to get up close and personal, play far up, it's a great item. And it's one of the reasons that those kind of champions are so strong right now.
And as we can see, it has worked out perfectly well for Alec. And now Tronen is back in, stealing the red buff right in front of the eyes of Elmo, as Elmo did not have his smite up. Oh, this is a dangerous position for Imbi, but Imbi with a beautiful little dance shuffle moves away from the Rupture and gets out of that situation alive. Although Roligan still starting up fights everywhere. Now on the Dragon instead. Gonna pick that up for free and keeps picking up the objectives all over the map.
Herald being used as well there. I think it was about to time out from Turnus, was forced to put that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Down there, but there was a bit of a weird lane decision for Arctic Storm, putting Imbi and Arrow in the top lane up against Nihil's 2v1 when they're getting pushed in. Not the best decision in the world, which lost them the Ocean Dragon and loses them most of mid lane tower.
Here we see the Janna versus the Zac. Let's Bounce is going to capture, but that is the wrong person to focus as the jungler Tronen is the one he gets. Although it works out in the end, Tronen goes down. Elmo does as well, and oh, Eru tries to save him. Did not have Unbreakable of cooldown just yet, and he went down in seconds versus the combined force of Croxy and Alec. Now that is the mid turret, and Roligan keeps going for more.
They are indeed on a roll right now. Janna for Kieran working out so well. He's been blind picking it twice, and I think that's quite a basic rule of League of Legends, that you cannot blind pick Janna. You can get punished so hard, but Kieran shows that I am wrong. You can blind pick Janna, especially into the Zac, deny the engage, have the great monsoons, going towards an Ardent even to power Croxy up even more. So Roligan are proving me wrong on that point.
Yeah, this really hangs right now on the flanks. Like, if you try to play the Zac, you're going in with the Elastic Slingshot, you get denied, and you get completely demolished, especially when you're almost like 8k behind in gold. That is not a good position. And Keaton has really proven Janna to be that key champion that keeps the team alive. But I also kind of want to question that, like, Carwax's decision to go with the Gnar. Like, the teleport has been off cooldown for a long time now. He hasn't really been using it offensively except for that one time when they tried to go top lane. And it is so key when you play a champion like Gnar with this short engage that you really need to find the flanks. He just hasn't been able to.
Absolutely agree with you right there. When you are picking up the Gnar with a lot of top laners open, you have to ask yourself, why am I going with a Gnar instead of a traditional top lane tank? Why am I picking Gnar over Ornn, over Cho'Gath, over Sion? And the reason usually is to snowball top lane even harder, to deny the enemy top laner, and then later on having still a pretty decent secondary follow-up engage. But Carwax has not been able to punish top lane at all. The sustain from Nihil's has been good enough. He's up with a minion wave farming away, not caring about these puny auto attacks from Carwax. So
also to mention that Carwax even lost 1 versus 1 earlier. Like, he was eaten, he was feasted on. So, I mean, Carwax really needs to rethink his strategy for the next game. Either way, whatever happens, he really needs to think about it, because it was not
might be in a tough position here.
That is a bad position for Mercer. He tries to turn back on Alec, but he just does not have the DPS as Alex pick him up quite easily for a killing spree. That is another one in the bag, as Roligan now on 10 kills versus Arctic Storm's 2. And they're going for the tier 2 turrets.
I do quite enjoy this Cho'Gath split push, which is not a sentence I say every day. He does have a TP available as well, so Higgs has the ability to join the fight here. Looks like Baron might be going over completely for free. Elmo wants to steal though.
Sneaky Baron, but nothing here to stop them as Roligan picks it up quite easily. Only damage they're taking is from the Baron itself. Now going up towards top lane, having the Ocean and the Mountain Dragon, really a big help in that situation. Still deciding to siege, not too worried about the low damage since they are in such a huge lead. 20 minutes, 10k gold lead, getting the tier 2 turret, and Alec even moving towards the front line, wanting to have some more action. He might even get it as Elmo charging up the Elastic Slingshot, opting not to use it. There comes the Unbreakable just to defend the turret, but as soon as the Unbreakable times out, there comes the follow-up, and it's huge! Eru now falling behind on the Braum, can't even get close to them. Keaton is on a killing spree. That is not something you say every day about a support. There comes Elmo again, but he is too little too late to arrive into that fight, as 2 team members had already died. Monsoon used, just just for the extra HP. Inhibitor going down, and Roligan, are they even going for a finish? They might be doing it. 20 minutes in, 22 minutes, now pushing towards the Nexus turret. Teleport used just to keep the minions alive. Arctic Storm will have to have a response now. 10 seconds till Elmo is out, but Croxy is on a rampage, picking up the kill. Tronen, though, has to sacrifice his life for it. Nexus still up, though. Crux is still on healthy HP, forcing the rest of Arctic Storm back, dodging Elmu, getting him with DPS. We can't even get close to him. Carwax has to back up. There comes Nidris as well, up on the summoner platform. Blue turret has been destroyed. Keaton doing it all by himself right now, focusing the Nexus, rest of the team focusing the kills, but that is definitely a win to Roligan. The only question is, how long are they going to take to finish it? They're still waiting, with a little bit of disrespect. Vertic Arctic Storm finally finishing it off. Croxy with one auto attack, and that is game one with a win to Roligan.
Roligan is styling on the fence right now. Only a 23-minute game. That is how long that the Arctic Storm team was able to last.
Crazy. Arctic Storm faltering completely with a 23-minute game. We had one game day one, it was shorter. That was a surrender, but I think this is the shortest game we've had when it comes to a full 0 HP Nexus.
Yeah.
I think this is the quickest game we've had so far.
I think so as well, and they're just playing with such confidence across the entire board. Every lane doing well, and especially Alec. I got to compliment him again. He was one of my MVPs from the first day, and just by how far up he's playing. He's sitting like under the inhib towers when the entire enemy team is there, because he knows his mechanics are so good. He can dodge away from the sack engages, from the Gnar engages, from the Braum engages. He has so quick fingers, can get away from that, and he always knows that Kidden is sitting right behind him with a Janna.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way Roligan played this game. This is the kind of clean game that we want to see from these teams if they want to keep moving up in this tournament. Like, you can't give your opponent any possibility at all to get back into the game once you get that early lead. And it was beautifully executed. Really enjoyed it. Also, got to give the props to Croxy and Keaton, as they were also forcing the bottom lane of Imbi and Aero to back off. Aero, though, did a great job with Braum for as long as he could. Tried to keep the turrets alive, was still with the Unbreakable, but in the end, just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, as I said, I enjoyed the draft from the Arctic Storm team, but they were just falling behind in every lane across the entire board. Roligan did such a good job of abusing the Victor as well. You know, his weaknesses there with the early recall money. Was forced to recall twice before even picking up the Hex Core, and then forcing fights around the jungle when Victor has not even gotten the Tier 1 Hex Core. So smart play from Roligan, and I would be surprised if they would lose the next gun.
Yeah, absolutely. Roligan being the favorites moving into Game 2, but we'll be back with that after this quick commercial break.